Hello and welcome to the Doofcast, a film and TV podcast from Doof Media. My name is Scott Daly, and riding with me to Valhalla, all shiny and chrome, it's my co-host, Matt Freeman. How's it going today, Matt?
Witness me!
Oh, we did that at the end of last week. You can't just do it again.
Oh, shit. That's bait.
Who killed the world?
Who killed the world?
This week, we continue our series taking a look at the best 25 films of the 21st century, voted on by our patrons. Matt, could you once again explain doofmovies.com for people if this is their first entry into the series?
Yeah, so we created the website doofmovies.com so that you can go over there, you can assemble your own list of your favorite movies from the 21st century. And if you're a patron of Doof Media, a paying patron of Doof Media, then your votes will be counted toward the global ranking, and then that ranking determines the order in which we cover these movies. So, said more succinctly, you decide what movies we cover by voting on doofmovies.com. And
absolutely.
That influences, that's why we're talking about Mad Max Fury Road this week.
That is correct. Mad Max Fury Road is currently number 4 on our ranking list. It is our third episode in this series, though, and that is because number 3 is currently The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and we made an executive decision to just take all 3 Lord of the Rings movies and just kind of smash them into one entry on our series. So we're just skipping over The Fellowship of the Ring, and we're here to talk all about Mad Max Fury Road. Man, I'm looking forward to this. I really
Me too.
am.
Yeah.
Matt, let's waste no time and get right into it. What is Mad Max Fury Road all about?
In a post-apocalyptic wasteland, a woman rebels against a tyrannical ruler in search of her homeland and with the aid of a group of female prisoners, a psychotic worshiper, and a drifter named Max.
This movie was written by George Miller, Brendan McCarthy, and Nick Lathoris. It was directed by George Miller, and it stars Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron, and Nicholas Hoult. And Matt, this is without a doubt one of the best action films of the 21st century. Possibly one of the best action films of all time. What was your revisit like?
It was everything I wanted it to be, you know. I think one thing that's changed, you know, the fun thing about looking back over the 21st century is that the 21st century has been 25 years of our lives.
Yeah.
And this movie came out 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, I didn't have as good of a TV as I do now, and I didn't have as good of a sound system as I do now. And I don't think that I saw the film in theaters because I had little babies at home. So all these autobiographical details are really not super relevant, except to the extent that it makes you realize how important, like, the way that you experience the movie actually is. Because the first time I saw this movie, it was on a smaller TV. I was probably interrupted 17 times by a crying baby. and it's not that I didn't like the movie, but I did have a slight feeling of like, I don't really know. I don't really get like what all the fuss is about. Like, it was pretty good.
Oh.
It was a fun action movie. I enjoyed the movie. Thought it was a good movie. It was a good movie. I didn't remember it as like the greatest action movie ever. And then I rewatched it this week, and I was like, oh, I was simply incorrect. It's just like a perfect instantiation of what it is. There's so many set pieces you can go through. You know, we're probably going to do that in this conversation and just do the thing where we're like, remember that set piece, remember that set piece, remember that moment. But that's fine, because that's sort of what an action movie is for, is serving you up these delightful moments of pure cinema and landing all of them, and you know, in a framework of good performances and story and all of that, and it just lands on everything. So it's great. What was your rewatch like, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I feel much the same as you. I think it is funny, though, like 10 years ago, just going back in time 10 years and seeing how different out yours and my life was from each other. I had not had children yet in 2015. I was not even married yet in 2015. But I saw this movie in the theater like 4 times.
Yeah.
Because I was at a point in my life where I could both afford financially and time wise to see a movie in the theater 4 times.
Uh-huh.
And it's probably one of the last movies that was true for me for. I certainly don't have time to do that now, but yeah, I love this movie from the jump. Like, I have a very distinct memory of, like, I guess I'm curious what your like history with the Mad Max franchise is, because for me, I think I probably watched Road Warrior when I was a kid and thought it was okay. Like, I really wasn't invested in the Mad Max franchise very much. And I distinctly remember the trailer for this movie coming out and people just like being like over the moon for it and excited about this movie. And I was like, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like, I had no investment in this franchise. I had no investment in this character. And like, I could say that like objectively the trailer looked pretty because it did. But I really wasn't excited about this one. And then it was getting good reviews. So I went and saw it and just found myself absolutely blown away. I think this is doing like all the things that a successful action movie needs to do. I think we're going to spend some time talking about the story, of course, and the characters, but I think it's important to say before we get into that like the story is pretty basic, the characters are pretty archetypal, and of course that's fine, right? That's like that's George Miller understanding what he needs to do to make this thing function, um, and and yet like not be the focal point of the whole thing still.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that the performances are really what elevate archetypal storytelling, right? That's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so it's almost like a rule of thumb is you can get away with some pretty bare bones narrative if your actors are committed, and I think like for example, Tom Hardy's Max to me is like he just totally gets what needs to be done with this character. He convincingly portrays this arc of this character where he starts out just basically feral, just all about survival, and you see him interacting with Furiosa, who has this drive to have something more than survival, kind of reawakens that in him, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like you said, it's very basic and elemental, but it's executed perfectly. Everything is executed perfectly. That's the thing I'm going to keep saying in this conversation is that everything is executed perfectly.
Yeah, it's so funny because he's playing a version of this character that is basically unrecognizable when compared to the Mel Gibson version of it, right? And that's fine. Like, that one of the things I like most about the movie is that obviously it is technically a continuation of the franchise and of that character technically, but going in completely different ways, and just the fact that like we, as you said, we meet a Max who has basically become feral, who is just wandering the desert alone, kind of lost any will or any desire or any sense of the person who he used to be, and is living for nothing but survival. And we get to see that guy transform both physically and then mentally throughout the course of the film. And yeah,
Yeah,
Tom Hardy does a great job with this character. It's like the perfect Tom Hardy performance, who is such an a fascinating actor because he makes like different choices than I would ever make. Like, I'm not an actor, obviously, but like, you just think of what's the correct choice in that moment. What's the correct choice for that character? And it's like, I never would have thought of that, but it works.
yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting point, right? Like I think one way to take it is like he's not playing the character of Max as a action hero. He's playing him as a desperate drifter
Yeah. Yeah.
with like the action that he has to do is not is I mean it's cool, just it's objectively cool, but like he's not doing it in a way where he's like, look at how cool I am. He's like,
Yeah.
I have to kill this person because if I don't, they're going to kill me. And you just I don't know, you just buy it. You just buy it.
Yeah. And as an actor, he's graceful and skilled enough to recognize that despite having his name on the tin, despite being first on the call sheet, and I think we said this when we first talked about this movie a few years ago, this is Charlize Theron's movie. This is Furiosa's movie, right? Like,
Yeah,
this is like she actually is the protagonist of the story. And it's not that he doesn't play a key part in it. Of course he does, but this is definitely her movie. And so I think he plays Tom Hardy plays the character of Max in a way that he is still pivotal and central to the story, but he understands the moments to get out of her way, and he doesn't make the movie all about him.
Yeah. You know, they both have arcs, and they're arcs that complement each other, and they weave together in a beautiful way, which I think culminates in the final shot where he he's standing by her, and then you kind of see him realize this isn't for him, and then he's suddenly gone, and he disappears into the crowd, and they're able to, you know, make eye contact and acknowledge each other, and it's like, yeah, that's they're they provided something that the other needed, and they both obtained healing from this. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The funny thing about the Mad Max franchise, and like this movie in particular, I guess, but really I think all of them, is like they're so gross and like sort of disgusting and like awful in many ways,
Yeah.
in like a visual and narrative, and in terms of what we're seeing and experiencing. But then also there's a tremendous amount of heart and humanity, and actually just like uh, uh it's kind of a softness at the core of them, you
Yeah.
know, which is a beautiful contrast, a beautiful way of doing it. I don't know. This keeps occurring to me, so I'll just mention it. Is like, this is one of those further autobiographical details, but I remember like the scene where they do the C-section on the pregnant woman who is dead.
Hmm.
I remember watching that 10 years ago and being just like so by it, put off by it, whatever, that I like, I don't literally remember if I had to pause the movie, but I was like, this is just like the worst thing that's ever been put to film. How'd they get away with this? And then I watched it this time, and I was like, and I was actually sort of like stealing myself for that, because like, oh, I remember this is that movie with that horrible C-section scene in it. It's going to be really horrible. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, that was like pretty. That was like nothing. Like, what was my problem? And then that's what actually caused me to reflect and be like, what was going on in my life
Yeah.
10 years
Yeah.
ago? Oh, right. All the babies,
Yeah.
all the babies in my house. So I just thought it was kind of funny how I was like primed to be really disgusted by that, by like all of the extra hormones that were in my brain. But anyway, I mentioned that just because I think it's kind of funny, but also like these movies don't shy away from showing some pretty horrible visuals. Like they're very rated R, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's an interesting choice, because you didn't have to do it that way, right? I just think that's an interesting choice. For
Yeah,
this movie.
that's the George Miller factor, right? He's kind of a weird dude, but he's a weird dude with a lot of heart, right? He can make this movie and also make Babe 2, Pig in the City.
Right.
Like that, and I agree with you. I love the disgusting nature of that one scene you're talking about. For whatever reason, while you were talking about it, the thing that kept flashing in my mind is not this guy like just carving open this belly and pulling out a baby by its leg, but when he chops off the umbilical cord, he does this thing, like he takes two ends of it in his hand and does this like flippy thing with it.
Uh-huh.
And just like the casualness of that, like this is an umbilical cord. This was attached to a child that was alive a couple minutes ago. Like that is like, it's just seared into my brain because it's so disturbing and disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing sacred to these people. They've life to them is absolutely worthless. I agree. I noted that as well. Just being like, this guy does not give a shit about the fact that this baby is dead. It matters nothing to him one way or the other. It's just a great way of communicating. Like, hey, these are the bad guys. I get it. Yeah.
But I love what you said, like the disgustingness of it, the weirdness of it. I mean, this is a movie that does so much environmental storytelling. Like it's one of those movies where you enter this rich, defined world, and it's one of my favorite examples of like doing world building in a way that I appreciate, because there's all different kinds of world building, right? And different people like different things. Some people like you going into like a really detail and expanding and expounding upon the world. The things that I like the most are when movies throw you kind of headfirst into this world and you're just kind of trying to pick up things as you go. And like, this is a movie that is rather fast paced. Like, I think as a side note, I think it's a little oversaid that this is just like one long chase scene of a movie, because like it's technically true. Like that's technically the truth, but it is a movie that understands pace very well and ramps up and slows down multiple times throughout the course of the movie. So like it bothers me somewhat when people say it's just like one long chase scene. Like, yes, but also no.
Yeah. No.
Anyway,
yeah.
My point there was just that like, I actually forgot my point as I was talking.
That's okay. You'll get it. I was gonna say I just randomly happened to decide, like, I had to take a break. I was probably cooking or something, so I hit pause like right after the first action set piece ends, where it's actually basically the moment when the pregnant character is killed, and then at that point they have successfully thrown off the trail of the pursuers, and so there's a lull, and I hit pause, and that's like exactly 1 hour into the movie. And it's like an exactly 2 hour movie.
Yeah.
Like it's like 2 hours and 40 seconds or something ridiculous. Like it's very, very precise and like edited for pacing in a very intentional way is my point there. So like the first half of the movie by runtime ends at a point where we take a lull, we take a breath, we do some slow character. You know, there's plenty of moments where it's like the characters talking in the cab of the truck. Yeah, it's not all breakneck, but no, I agree. That definitely was the meme at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember what I was talking about too. I was talking about world building, and so we're introduced to the world of the Citadel. We're introduced to Morton Joe and how he controls these people. We kind of meet the war boys, and the movie just throws us in the deep end with this. Like, who are these war boys? Like, who are the wives? Who we don't even really fully understand who Furiosa is until pretty far into the movie. We certainly don't know who Max is. Like, we kind of, unless you have a vague awareness of Mad Max, you really don't ever understand who Max is outside of he's a guy. He clearly lost people. He's the voices of all the people he's lost are haunting him. But then like Bullet Town and Gas Town and all these this eclectic cast of characters and all the different people, and it's just like this is a world that slowly builds itself around you without ever stopping to be like, this is this and it does this and this is for this and it does this, and here like it just kind of trusts that you're gonna follow along as you go. And those are my favorite. That's my favorite type of world building, and I really, really appreciate it in this movie. I think like the other movie that pops up when I think about this kind of world building is John Wick, for different reasons, obviously, but like just like we've created this world and we're just going to throw you in it, and we give you all these little bits and pieces of it that allow you to picture a larger, more complete mythology to everything. But we're not really going to focus on that because that's not really the focal point of the film.
Yeah. I've always loved this idea. I don't remember where I heard it, if this is like canonical or just somebody's theory that I read on a forum at some point, but just the idea that like all the Mad Max movies are basically tales passed down through the oral tradition of the post-apocalyptic people. And so that's why there's no real continuity between, or like the amount of time that passes doesn't really make sense. And this character named Max Rakatowski or whatever his name is inconsistent. It's like, well, yeah, these are the different tales of the Mad Max pantheon that people are telling each other, and there's a cultural awareness of a thing called the Bullet Farm. So we're just going to reference the Bullet Farm. We don't need to explain what the Bullet Farm is to you. Of course, you already know what the Bullet Farm is. It's in the other tales that you also have heard around the burning oil drum at night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy that approach to world building. That's, you know, the a lot of it is in the costuming, right? Like you've got, I this time I was really appreciating all the little side characters we get, like the leaders of Gas Town and the Bullet Farm, and like the Doof Warrior on the with the guitar, and
our namesake.
There's probably like 10 other characters who, you know, plant themselves in your mind. Like even like a Morton Joe's sons are characters who you think like, oh yeah, like that, like what's going on with, you know, Morton Joe's got the one son who's like giant and buff, but he's got like the breathing apparatus that's keeping him alive, and you know, everybody's
great names.
Yeah. Yeah, great names that sort of give you a sense of who this is, and then the costume and the performance, and there's details that make you that make you like see a backstory that is definitely not actually there, but it gestures at a backstory and lets you
Mhm.
fill it in for yourself, which is to me the most fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and my favorite character when I saw this movie 10 years ago and even now remains Nicholas Holt's Nux.
Mhm.
I love the character of Nux, and I think Nux's uh, arc through the course of this movie is like my favorite one. I just love seeing this completely brainwashed, um, mutated and dying kid who over the course of the movie learns what it means to care about other people and to to work towards a common goal, and ultimately it still dies at the end. But like, just I'm feeling a lot of deja vu here, Matt, and I think it's because we have talked about this movie on this podcast before, and I'm probably just repeating myself. But like the the difference between him looking at Max in the middle of the dust storm, about to, drop a flare into a seat full of gasoline and kill himself to bring down Charlize Theron, and looking at him and saying, "Witness me," and then him at the very end looking towards the redheaded wife whose name I'm blanking on and saying the same words, right? It's the same
Mhm.
words. It's essentially the same action, but like just the implied profundity of the change in meaning of those two moments, I think is just fucking good character writing, Like
Yeah,
it gets me emotional just thinking
yeah,
about it. It's such a wonderfully earned and powerful moment, and it's the same words, just
yeah,
different, just in different context.
yeah. Absolutely, I love that character too. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We could just as easily as we could go through each of the set pieces and talk about how awesome they are. We could go through almost every character who has speaking lines and say like, oh, wasn't that a nice little journey they had? I mean, all
Hmm.
of all of the wives individually have their own thing going on, their own dynamic. Like they're distinct from each other, even though I can't remember their names because nobody ever says anybody's name in this movie. So it's not my fault. But
Well, we got Splendid, but that's not her real name. I think her real name was like Angarad or something. But she's
mhm,
the Splendid. Like,
mhm.
we got Splendid and we got Precious.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are
He
the two he
just
says a lot. Yeah,
I feel like those are just his pet names for them. But yeah,
sure, yeah.
um, yeah.
But Riley Keough's character's name is just Capable.
Mhm.
That's her name. It's Capable.
That's awesome. That's a
Which is
great name.
like, that's like damning with faint praise a little bit there.
But I feel like that's a great post-apocalyptic name, like in the sense, like I mean, I feel like the Pilgrims would name their kids, Prudence and Temperance, and like the virtues they wanted their kids to embody. And I feel like
Yeah.
Capable would be a great name for a baby. Like, yeah, I want you to have the virtue of capability in this harsh, unforgiving world. Like, I can totally see, that's what I mean. I just like made that up basically. I just
Yeah.
decided in my head, like, no, her parents named her that because they wanted her to be capable. And it's like, no, that's not in the movie. That's
Who
totally made
cares?
up.
I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
What about Cheeto? Just like really into cheese puffs?
Really into cheese. I mean, probably just a reminder of the gourmet foods that used to exist in the world. That
Oh, yeah.
maybe one day, if we're able to repair the world, you could eat Cheetos again.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, it's so great because like all of the characters are distinct. I think that, as you said, the costuming and design of the characters really lends to this, that everyone has a very distinct look. I think the wives are like distinct for a very specific story reason, which is that Immortan Joe is keeping this host of breeders, and they all look genetically different from each other, I think intentionally, right? Like,
Hmm.
we have, this is the black one, and this is the one with red hair, this is the light-skinned blonde one. It just seems like it is very intentionally designed. But what it lends to is this ability to quickly like parse all these characters and place them
Hmm.
um in our minds. And I think it's so funny because it's true with the Many Mothers characters as well. Those are like the last characters we meet in the story, and yet by the time we're doing the action set piece, we are emotionally connected to those women as well, and we've just barely met them. Like the one, again, I don't know names very much, but she's the one with all the seeds. Like, we meet her very quickly, and they kind of fall in love with her, and she has this little mini arc with one of the wives before
Yeah.
she dies tragically, and like that's just like good like quick storytelling that like really just quickly establish, and then okay, you got that, let's go, and we know you'll be emotionally tethered, and they're just right, we are.
Yeah. Well, there's also something like insanely poignant about these extremely old women who are essentially sacrificing their lives to save these younger women. That just is like an on the level of imagery is very powerful, even without needing to say anything. You're like, I understand this. This is viscerally effective. There's kind of a lot of that sort of thing in the movie, actually. There's a definite like gender politics thing happening. I mean, like on. I mean, it's sort of obvious. Like the guy's got a harem, and they're trying to escape. That's the plot of the movie. But then also like there's more layers than that. Like there's the woman who the older woman who they leave behind in the vault.
Yeah.
There's the older women in the in the wasteland that they find. There's Furiosa, who's sort of basically taking on this role. I don't know. It is a very feminist movie. It is basically a movie about a bunch of really evil men chasing a bunch of women in order to exploit them, and then two men who are able to have a change of heart and end up on the right side of things. One of whom has to sacrifice his life, and those are our main characters.
No, you're so right. I mean, I like, obviously I have watched the Furiosa prequel film, so like I know what Furiosa's backstory is, but putting myself in the point of view of someone who watched this movie for the first time, like, you don't necessarily need all the details to understand the character, right? Like we see her as this person who we learn who was taken from this group of women. Her mother was killed. I love the line is like, how long were you gone? 7,000 days. What happened to your mother? She died on day 3. That's like just very impactful writing there. But so we know that this woman like obviously had to make some choices and make some sacrifices to survive and to get to the position she's in. Because what she says she's looking for is redemption, right? Like she obviously has the unsaid stuff is that she's done some stuff that she's not proud of, and she sees this as a way to make all that right by saving these women, by helping these women.
I mean, I think it's a great. Just the opening of the movie is like, okay, you don't. I don't think you become a war rig captain unless you've done some pretty horrible shit. Like you must have. She must have worked for this guy for some period of time at least. That's
we're not even like specifically told what an imperador is. Like we just see enough to know it's a position of honor, right? I mean, I know it has like, this is a Roman term, right? But like within the context of this movie, she's leadership. She's high level leadership.
Like a general or whatever, or at least I don't know. Yeah, but I think that's one element of the movie where I don't know if this rises to the level of being a criticism, but I'm like, I wish we knew, like, was there an inciting incident that crossed the line for Furiosa? Because I sort of on paper buy this idea of like, yeah, she did a bunch of terrible stuff that she regrets, and now she's seeking redemption. But I'm missing the middle step there, where this is a person, like we just said, this is a person who earned a spot in the highest ranks of this horrible despot. What happened that caused her to have a change of heart? And I'm not saying I like need that, but I guess I feel a certain desire to have that explained to me, which maybe this is more of that sort of this style of storytelling where it's like, look, that's left for you to fill in with your imagination, because that's just the kind of movie this is.
Yeah. Although in this case, might I introduce you to a movie called Furiosa, a Mad Max saga?
Yes, you may.
which you should watch, and I would highly recommend. It is like, I think I said this on at the end of last week's episode. Furiosa is a very different movie from this movie. I mean, it's obviously directed by George Miller, so like it has a feeling that's very similar. But while this is a very short, contained chase sequence movie, with some downtime in it, Furiosa is like, and it's like it is mythology, right? It is a movie spanning decades, like kind of jumping through Furiosa's complete story that leads up to this movie. So would recommend for sure. It's great.
Yeah,
but we're not
talking about that
movie.
Yeah. and I haven't seen it, and I don't even have a reason. I think I just never had the time. Maybe we can talk about it on this show.
I think we need to.
Yeah. It's the only way I'll watch it, Scott.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, sadly, no one else watched it either. It's like one of the tragedies of this whole thing is that Mad Max, like Fury Road, was such a beloved movie. It did so well, and no one cared about the follow up. Actually, I don't even know how. Like, I guess 380 million worldwide is good. It was a budget of 150 million, so it broke even, but it was never like a huge. Like it was more of just a favorite amongst people who saw it, and of course, it did very well at the below the line Oscars. Like won all those.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, broke. I think we sometimes say broke even as if that's like, they barely made. It's like, no, that means that everyone was paid like out of the revenues of the movie, meaning that everyone made money. They just didn't.
They made an incredible piece of art and did not lose money doing it. Yeah, that's like, I think touche.
Everyone made the money. Everyone made the money they expected to make, and a little extra is actually what we should say. But we'll watch that. We'll talk about it at some point because I do want to watch it. But this movie though, movie. Let's devolve into talking about set pieces that we liked. How about that?
Okay, all of them.
Remember the sandstorm with the tornadoes and then the turning into fire tornadoes with lightning shooting through them.
How fucking beautiful is this movie? I mean, this movie is like I think we talk about CG in a negative context a lot. And I think for fair reasons 99% of the time, right? But like there comes along movies every once in a while that remind you that like computer graphics are an incredible tool, and used correctly they can make something awe-dropping. And like this is a movie that like relies on practical effects a lot. It does, but obviously there's also a bunch of CG in it, and this storm looks incredible. It looks so good. 10 years removed, and it still looks just amazing.
Yeah, I love the shot as they're approaching the storm, where it's it kind of reminds me of stuff from like Jurassic Park, where and what I mean by that is like it really takes advantage of the sense of like scale and awe that you can get with film, where it's just the sense of the enormity of this storm that they're driving into. And obviously once they're in the storm, it's even cooler because there's literal fire tornadoes, and it's just so cool. It's just so fun. I think what's funny about that sequence is like you're already having a great time with this incredibly tense and engaging chase scene, and then it just cranks that knob all the way to 11 with the with the sandstorm. It's just a beautiful sequence. I just love that so much.
And like Nux's like the "Oh what a lovely day" line, right?
Yeah.
It comes, I always forget this, but it comes immediately after he has just witnessed all his friends get sucked up into the tornado and exploded and thrown around.
Yeah.
Which is such a great both character and world defining moment, right? We are still kind of learning who Nux is, and we are still kind of learning who the War Boys are. And like that's such a great moment of, oh, okay. I think I understand now.
Yeah. No,
and then that's good because that goes right into his suicide attempt.
Yeah,
his kamikaze attempt. Right, it happens right after that. So
exactly. Because
we need to get there.
yeah, the whole thing for him is like he knows he's going to die. He's going to die soon, and he wants it to be meaningful. And he's viewing all this as like, this is all culminating in my send off to Valhalla.
Yeah.
He's so excited about it's the Klingon. Today is a good day to die. It's great.
What a great story moment when he gets the blessing from the Immortan Joe himself, hands him his gun, and then immediately fucks it up. Like just trips on the chain and loses the gun. And then we just mediocre.
I love that because the chain to the movie's very clever, right? Because he's got this chain hanging from him. And if you remember, like, why does he have a chain hanging from him? It's because he was attached to Max.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a symbol of like his physical infirmity and his weakness, and also kind of a reminder of Max. And that's the thing that snags. Like he could have taken the chain off at any point, right? But he well, actually, I guess he couldn't because it's locked to him. That's like a plot point,
but he does later take the chain off because
Yeah.
they use the chain because the pulley to get the rig out of the mud doesn't quite reach.
Right.
And he uses a piece of the chain to get the little bit extra they need to wrap around the tree.
Yes.
Yeah. This chain and the blood tube between them, like these are things that the movie identifies and defines early on, and then continually keeps them and uses them again and again.
The use of the blood tube, just the presence of Max's mask, where he essentially it's part of his character development, really, where when he first approaches the women when they're washing off all the sand from the sandstorm, he's wearing the mask. He looks, like a monster, and he's threatening them, and he's not speaking. He's threatening them, and then he fights with Furiosa, and he's basically willing to sacrifice all of them. And then, once, it's not that it's a stark punctuation point, but really once the mask is cut off of him, that's a point past which it's like, okay, this is Mad Max the hero. Essentially, he's on their side now.
It's him like transforming into a person and not a beast. And it's a great moment. Yeah, and it happens so far into the movie that moment, and Miller knows this, right? And he plays it up, right? There's like we have this recurring beats of him using the metal file to kind of slowly file the lock off the mask, and then we get kind of the hero shot moment where he's walking on top of the rig. He's fixed the brake line, I think, between the little ball of fuel that they're dragging. He fixes that, climbs up on top of the rig, and that's the moment. And Miller's camera finds him in the moment and focuses on him. It's like, this is his face. This is Max. This is the first time, because when we're first introduced to the character, his hair and facial hair is overgrown, so we really don't get a clear picture of it there. And then he's locked in the mask, so we really haven't got a clear picture of it there. So this is really the first time we've seen him as well. It's a great moment.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I forgot that we don't really see his face too well in the first part of the movie.
I do love. I love talking about the chain, like and action set pieces. The entire fight between Max and Charlize and Nux, and the way that sequence unfolds with the prop of the chain connecting the two characters in it is just some just really great action choreography. Like it's just really good. Like the way the stakes change and everything ramps and then moves, and then like all this stuff happens kind of continuously, and most of it relates to the fact that two of the characters are tied together, and they use that to their advantage in some ways, and it's used to their disadvantage in some ways. And it's a very conscious physical part of the action set piece that you always feel, that seems like things naturally progress through it. And I thought that was great. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. That's totally agree. That may be one of my favorite action sequences in the movie, which is maybe kind of funny because it's got all these bombastic, car chases and crazy things with the polecats just like really, really crazy things happening in the movie. But I agree that's just such a tight well done back and forth. I mean, it reminds you of like the best of the um of like the classic kung fu martial arts movies, where it's
Yeah.
just like really carefully thought out, really well shot, fast, like just that's what I want out of an action movie, yeah, it's fantastic. And
Yeah.
not and like not because it's like cool, like it's not like cool fighting. It's like, no, these are very practical people.
Yeah.
They're fighting in a very practical way. It's just like you said, it's very tight.
They're messy and dirty and falling over themselves and tripping and like getting yanked and pulled, and it's all messy, and the thing I love about it is we have these three characters and we don't know too much about any of them yet. I think we're learning that we kind of like Furiosa, because she's saving these women, but like we're not sure where we're going to land in this triangle of three characters yet, and so we're watching them kind of fight each other, uncertain of like, I think I want to root for Max here because his name is on the movie, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't actually know, and I think that really helps
Yeah.
with the whole sequence.
Yeah, we see a lot of desperation and brutality. Like I love that when he's trying to detach himself from Nux earlier in the movie, he finds the shotgun and just like immediately puts it up to Nux's arm and pulls
Yeah.
the trigger, which
Uh-huh.
it's going to blow the guy's arm off and kill him in all likelihood.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't care. He's like, well, this guy sucks. I'm just going to do this. And then of course the gun misfires. So then he has to carry him around. So we see this dark edge with Max from the beginning. And we are worried about him. But then, he doesn't kill Furiosa when he does get the drop on her. He just kind of subdues her with the.
But the only reason
Glock.
he doesn't just leave and leave them all to die is because there's like a timing sequence on the engine that it stalls. That's like the only reason, right?
That's true.
He would have just kept driving. But of course, that is imperative because that is directly contrasted with the end of the movie where he's got a motorcycle full of stuff and chooses instead to go with them. Or to go back to them to re-engage with them. And that is, I think that is his arc. That is the character. That is the change in him over time. And it's great. Culminating in the point where he, like, I loved the contrast of at the beginning of the movie, he's a blood bag, right? His blood is being used outside of his control. And at the end of the movie, he's doing the same thing, but this time it's because he wants to. And that's just good, like sharp, like we said, it's not that complicated. It's simple, but it's just it's very sharp. It's very well done. It's just good. It's just all good stuff.
There's something just like beautifully evocative about the idea of him being a universal donor, where it's like on the metaphorical level, it's like, he is a guy who he just keeps being put in a situation where he has to be the hero and he has to give of himself to save everyone and get his ass kicked. But he always survives and wanders off into the desert to go basically be that guy again somewhere else. He can never really settle down and let go of the demons that are driving him, which is kind of, it is sad. I find the Max character to be sad.
I mean, like his ending is a little bit sad, right? Like the ending that you kind of want for him is he's found these people, he's found the sense of belonging, and he can't stay. He has to leave again. Like he feels still that he doesn't belong here. And so he heads back out into the wilderness for his next mythological Jesus adventure.
Yeah.
And that is a little sad, right? That is a little like, I wish this is the type of person that could get comfortable in one place, but he's just never going to.
Yeah. That's not the mythological character that he is. He's the wandering, reluctant hero, and that's who he has to be.
Did you think at the end of the movie when they opened the water for all the people, was there a part of you that was like, you're gonna waste some of that precious resource?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Maybe we like put a container below that instead of just letting it like land on the rocks.
Yeah. I mean, so here, like, we're joking here, but also part of me was like, you know what movie I would really enjoy is like the sequel to this movie, except it's just a really boring and practical movie about the logistical and sociological consequences of trying to keep this community alive and thriving. No more car chases, no more gunfights. It's just Furiosa dealing with the plumbing of this ancient system and the trying to rediscover farming and trying to like negotiate disagreements between people. That's the movie I want.
That good luck with that.
They should make that.
I don't. If Furiosa didn't make any money, I don't understand how you think that would be a successful film. But
the budget would be lower. I'll say that much.
That is true.
Because it's all going to be Furiosa. It's all going to be Charlize Theron in an office. It's going to be a very Mad Max looking office, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Talking to people. That's what the movie is.
I love it. This is a great follow up to this high octane, exciting action film.
Yeah,
good choice, Matt.
Thanks.
This is why you should be an executive in Hollywood, in the town.
I would definitely take some risks.
Man, I don't want to like. I just love all the action in this movie. Like, I just love all the car shit. Like, I know that's not a particularly like interesting line of conversation to just be like, wasn't all the car shit great? But like, wasn't all the car shit great?
Yeah. Well, it was clearly made by people who love cars and car shit. So
yeah. And one thing that I know we said this before, because again, I'm having distinct memories of the last conversation, but the thing I love most about the action is how clear it is that like there are dozens of cars running into each other, crashing into each other, throwing things at each other, lighting each other on fire, throwing explosive spears at each other. This is all happening all at the same time, constantly throughout these set pieces. And yet the way Miller directs the action, he always allows you to find what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's always clear. It's always easy to follow. And I just really appreciate that kind of action filmmaking. Like, it's very easy to make an action movie, and people do it often. An action movie that is just so overstuffed that you can't even follow it. So many quick cuts, so many edits, so much stuff being thrown at you because more stuff is better, that you can't even follow what's going on. And this movie, I always had a clear picture of who was where, what were their goals, what were they trying to do, how close they were to getting that, and it's great stuff.
Yeah. The camera is always helping you understand what you need to understand for everything to make sense. It's incredibly well thought out. In a movie that is basically perfect, that's the thing that stands out to me as like, if you're going to focus on one thing, it's like, the clarity of the sequencing of the action shots and the way things are shot. You're right that we talked about this before. I know we talked about this aspect of it before, but like there was a thing. I remember this was a big deal because everybody was talking about it at the time, where like they had a principle of filming it where like whatever the key thing that was happening was in the scene needs to be in the center of the frame, so that even if we're cutting between different crazy things happening and people are coming in through the roof and grabbing people and lifting them out, and then this guy has got a gun, and no, there's like your eyes are staying in basically the same place from moment to moment. You're not having to like basically reinterpret everything and be like, okay, where am I looking? What's the relevant information in this shot? The relevant information is always dead center, so you're able to just process everything very smoothly. And that I don't know. I wonder. I can't really say that has been successfully copied, right? Like I'm thinking about recent action movies I've seen, and I'm not able to say, and then everyone learned from this trick and they all use it now. It's like, no, I don't think that they do. I don't think people learn this trick.
No. There's a lot of bad action out there.
There is.
What do you think? So I'm trying to. This is obviously on the list, but what are some of like the best action films of the 21st century that might not actually make it on this list?
I gosh, I mean, this is gonna sound really dumb, but like every action movie I can think of is from the 80s and 90s. It's like I know there are good action movies from the 2000s, but like,
well, let me toss a few your way.
Okay.
The Raid and the Raid 2
Sure, yeah.
are pretty commonly and it's weird, like obviously putting those in the same list as Mad Max is interesting because except for the one fight sequence we already talked about, the majority of the Mad Max action is like car action, and I just think like car action and martial arts action like are different to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're technically, it's action films. Yeah.
I mean, to me, like the quintessential action film is Terminator 2, which is very much like this movie that we're talking about, where there's car chases, there's helicopter chases, there's gunfights, there's gun versus helicopter versus truck fights. It's everything you want. There's robots, and like that to me is that's why that's a perfect action movie. And I feel like very few movies are as ambitious as Terminator 2. This is one of the few that is actually as ambitious as Terminator 2.
Yeah. I mean, I think this definitely deserves to be near, if not at the top of the list. Other ones I'm thinking about right now are Dread. You remember Dread? I really enjoyed the action
love that one.
movie.
I mean, in a sense, all Marvel movies are action movies, right? They're not. We don't typically think of them that way, but
but I don't even know, like, is the action the best part of a Marvel movie? Which is a wild thing to ask, but I don't even know if that's true.
I think for something I mean, one of my favorite Marvel movies is The Winter Soldier, which I think is an action movie. Like,
sure.
So, but
the problem with action is such a broad term because you can start doing stuff like, okay, well, like the Bourne movies had some pretty good action in it, right?
Right.
And that like the Mission Impossible movies, some of them are like really good at action, right? We already talked about John Wick, but like then you can get in stuff like Pirates of the Caribbean had some great action scenes in it. You know, we liked those movies a lot.
Pirates of the Caribbean, James Bond, Mission Impossible. These are all franchises that have a ton of great action. It's just I think for some difficult to categorize reason, I don't think of them as action movies. Right? It's like, well, I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that I don't intuitively think of them that way. So
I agree. I like you're using Terminator as kind of the control for this. Right. So like that's the example.
Yeah.
I think works. And like Mad Max, I think fits perfectly into that.
Right.
So
I mean, it's a vague label, but I think it's an interesting question though. I think to stand back from your question and maybe. Perhaps I'm misinterpreting you, but my understanding of why you asked that question is like, did we kind of stop making action movies in quite the same way in the 2000s? And I think despite the fact that yes, there have been some movies with some great action in the 21st century, I don't think any of them are really like the action movies of the 80s and 90s. I think they
certainly not. Yeah,
they changed what they were going for.
Yeah,
like. Typically you would think of them as like a sci-fi movie with action elements or something, like,
that's Edge of Tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Is that an action movie? I mean, it's got a lot of action in it,
right? I mean, Terminator 2 is also a sci-fi movie with action elements if we're getting like pedantic, but that's definitely not how it feels. So
I mean, I think a lot of like when I look at the 2000s, a lot of like the Bourne Identity was a big influence on a lot of how action in that era was shot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this intentionally like steady cam, like very guerrilla style, rough type of stuff, which like I think made for good movies. I enjoy the Bourne movies quite a bit, but like I don't know if I would ever call the Bourne Identity like my favorite action flick,
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's weird. It's one of my favorite spy flicks or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or according to this list that I'm seeing as I'm Googling action movies, My favorite puppet action movie, obviously, Team America: World Police.
I'm glad we need to have. How many entries are there in puppet action movies?
Seems like just one, but
Do we need to have a clarifying fact? Yeah, yeah. No, it's a really interesting thought and idea, and obviously, like the 21st century as a whole, at least this first 25 years of it, was absolutely dominated by the superhero movie, right? So, if we're trying to think about like what happened to action movies, and we're also with that same stroke saying, well, superhero movies don't count as action movies, well, that's where they win, right?
yeah,
They win in the thing we've just excluded from our list,
yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah, I think that that is true. And then also, there's a lot of movies that we think of as sci-fi movies or like spy thrillers that are in fact action movies. This has been a fun rabbit hole where we kind of just did a big circle and came to the conclusion that obviously there still are action movies. We just don't think of them that way. But I think we're also right that even though there are still action movies, they actually just feel different. I mean, even the Terminator sequels that have been made in the 21st century
so bad
don't feel
bad.
None of them feel like the Terminator films made in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, it's just true.
What a great all-timer movie. This is one that, like, so we have 3 movies on our list now. We have The Lord of the Rings broadly, obviously, also action movies, right? We have Arrival, and now we have Mad Max Fury Road. And I do think these are 3 movies or 3 sets of movies that I think people are just going to be talking about for a long time. So those being the first 3 movies we covered, I think makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Our movie next week is a movie that I'm excited to revisit. I am wondering if upon our revisit we will feel like it belongs in the same conversation as Arrival, Lord of the Rings, and Mad Max, because that movie is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, this movie won the Academy Award. It kind of dominated that year. It was my favorite film of that year, which was, I think, 2022, I think 3 years ago now. But I'm interested to see if I've cooled on it at all since then, because while I really liked it when I saw it, it's not a movie I think about very often.
Yeah. So for what it's worth, I kind of anticipate having a similar experience to what we just talked about, where I also felt like maybe and I hate this word, but I think my emotional reaction was like, I think this is a bit overrated, which probably means I'm going to really like it on this viewing, because one thing I've learned about myself is that I'm way oversensitive to hype. And if people have really hyped something up and then I go see it and I just think it was good, then I will, unfortunately, not endorsing this behavior, but unfortunately be like, I didn't like it very much. Whereas if I just see a movie like that out of the blue, then I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I loved it. So I don't like this fact about myself, but it is just true. So I'm hoping like the time that has passed will allow me to get sort of a fresh take on it. And again, not that I disliked Everything Everywhere All at Once. I just didn't feel like it was all of the cat's pajamas that everyone said it was.
I mean, I really loved the movie the first time I saw it, and I watched it again when we did an episode on it later in the year, and loved it that time too. I think what might be happening with me is whenever you get a movie this popular that kind of just like takes over the year, and then eventually like does very well at the Academy Awards, like there's always a backlash. Like that always happens, where there's people like you that are like, psh, overrated. Yeah. And that usually is like the last thing people talk about in a movie. Like when a movie wins the Oscar and then we kind of leave Oscar season behind and move on, like the last thing that people are talking about is the kind of backlash portion of that. So like the last thing I remember people talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once was the people saying this movie's not that good, it's overrated. I don't know. I don't understand why people are putting it in like the same bucket as all these other great films. So I am very interested in revisiting it again and seeing where I land on it here 3 years later. I love the Daniels work. I've enjoyed all their movies, and I really did like this movie when I saw it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Anything else you wanted to say about Mad Max Fury Road before we wrap this one up?
No, I think I'm good. Great movie.
I'm surprised we went on for an hour because I don't feel like I said anything about the movie somehow, and yet I must have.
Yeah, I think we talked about a bunch of different aspects of it, kind of in pieces. So
sure, yeah. It is a remarkable movie, and I'm very sad that nobody, including myself, saw Furiosa because I did not see Furiosa in the theater. Just shows how my life has changed in the 9 years between the two of them.
Yeah, it's you're closer now to where I was then, actually, in terms of what your life is like. Anyway,
that's true. That's true.
It's funny.
It's really interesting on George Miller's IMDb. It still shows him in pre-production for Mad Max: The Wasteland, which is supposed to be the sequel to Fury Road. But I just don't know if that's happening. I think Furiosa was such a box office disappointment. They lost a lot of money on that one that I would be very surprised if they greenlit another very expensive to shoot Mad Max film anytime soon.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it, so maybe we can just hope.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, nothing would make me happier than George Miller taking a bunch of rich people's money to make cool shit. So
yeah. And movies are back, so it'll do great.
Movies are so back, thanks to Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yep,
he did it all by himself.
Everybody just keeps saying it. Just keep saying movies are back.
When exactly is it that movies came back?
Have you ever heard the phrase hyperstition, Scott?
No, I haven't. Is that something you just made up?
It's kind of like a new phrase that means you just
you did make it up.
No, I didn't make it up. It's on x.com.
Well, that makes it totally real.
And it basically means you just vibe something into being by emanating the correct vibes.
I don't like this word.
You imagine that it exists hard enough, and then it becomes true. It's not really quite what it means, actually. It's close enough. We're gonna hyperstition. We're gonna hyperstition that movies are back. Movies are back, Scott. Movies have been back for a while.
Are back. You know what else is back?
What?
TV. TV's back.
Yeah.
TV's so back.
Okay. Cool.
You know what else is back?
What's back?
Books. Books are back.
Books are back. My kids have actually started reading, so books are back. That's true.
Oh my God. Books are so back. This is huge.
I'm so happy to hear that books are back.
All right, folks. That's all we have for you this week. If you have any opinions on Mad Max Fury Road or just what you think is back, you can reach out to us via email at doofmedia@gmail.com or over on x.com, the beacon of truth that invents words, apparently. That's at Doof Media. Also Instagram at Doof Media.
That's right. If you're not already subscribed to this podcast, we encourage you to subscribe and ensure you never miss an episode. You can find us on every podcasting platform. And while you're at it, why don't you go subscribe to our other podcast, Flanagan's Wake. We are taking a look at the works of Mike Flanagan over on that feed. And next week, we are getting into Mike Flanagan's The Haunting of Bly Manor. We're going to be talking about that 9-episode series a week at a time for the next 9 weeks. So don't miss it. Join us there and have some fun in the spooky season with a spooky show. Yeah. Also, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Each review hyperstitions our podcast into being more popular. It's not based on the definition of the word that you made up. That doesn't make sense. You're right. But I'm upset about this. But I believe it. I believe it. You know what I believe? What? I'm going to leave you out in the wasteland. Drive away in my rig. I'll find my way. I'll get a souped up Dodge Charger and I'll find you. I was so sad his car got destroyed. I know. Twice. Yeah. Twice. You're right. To be honest, I think I missed that entire thread the first time I saw this movie. It was only on this viewing that I realized that was his car. Anyway,
you missed the part where he points at the car and says, "That's mine."
I didn't know what he was pointing at. Honestly, I thought he was pointing at like maybe his gun. I'm serious.
Sure,
but I got it. I got it this time.
We got it. It was his car. All right, folks, we will see you next week for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Watch the movie and come hang out with us.
My name is Doof, and you'll do what I say. My name is Doof, and you'll do what I say.